Hello, sunshine. Welcome to Be Visible with Veronica, the podcast where bold conversations and soul-aligned strategy help you awaken your most powerful self. I'm your host, Veronica Bond. Get ready to stop dimming your light, own your magic, and finally be so visible you can't be ignored. Let's get visible. Hello, sunshine. Welcome back to the Be Visible with Veronica podcast. I'm here today with an incredible guest who's joining us all the way from Calgary. Last week, we spoke with Colleen Biggs, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to her episode, go back and take a listen. You will be surprised on her story around creating 7 different businesses, I believe, over the course of her entrepreneurial journey, leaving corporate America. But first, a word from our sponsor, Green Living Magazine, who we are thrilled to have supporting us on this journey. A heartfelt thank you to our premier sponsor, Green Living Magazine, Arizona's leading conscious lifestyle publication. Each issue is packed with new ideas on how to use nature's resources for sustainable living tips, inspiring stories, and statewide eco events. Subscribe today and get 12 print issues and digital access at greenlivingmag.com/store. Hi, sunshines. Welcome to the Be Visible with Veronica podcast. I'm Veronica Bond, your host. And today, all the way from Calgary, we have the illustrious, amazing Paula, and your last name?
Onysko.
Onysko. I always want to say Osenko, but I know it's Onysko, and I knew I was going to mess it up, so I wanted you to share. You have come from Calgary because you were speaking at our eWomen Network event, and I met you back in January, and I heard you talk about women in finance. And I thought that was gold. We need to know more about that. But I loved the way you had this unique twist on talking about that conversation. And Paula, you have over 20 years of experience in this space. And I wanted you to come on our podcast today and share what that visibility looks like when you're talking about finance as an entrepreneur. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am so thrilled to be here. Veronica, to have a place to talk about money and business and success, and you bring the love, the energy, the heart. Thank you.
Well, you're so welcome, and thank you for sharing. I received that with my whole heart. I think that one of the things that we can do better as women is receive the compliments, receive the gift, because you know what? That means you're receiving the money too.
I was just about to say, let's be open to the money piece, right? That's really important because we can be visible and busy, but if we're not open to the money, we're not able to sustain what we need to do in the world.
Oh, that's powerful. Think about that. If you aren't willing to bring in the money and talk about money as an exchange of energy, how it lifts economies, lifts your personal economy so you can give more. I mean, for me, I have a goal of being able to give high 5, 6 figures to charities across the country and other women entrepreneurs as they're starting their business, as I'm getting my nonprofit off the ground. And I think we decided to call it 1,000,001 dreams because 1,000,000 dreams was taken. But you really have a way of helping women hone in on not just receiving financial independence and legacy and growth in their business, but also keeping it and being good stewards of it. So let's talk about what led you on this journey more than 20 years ago.
I've always loved money. And when I grew up, I would like to count it. When we played Monopoly, I was the banker. And so I knew I wanted to work with money. And I went into becoming an accountant because that's what somebody said to do. And of course, that wasn't where my passion was. I had to leave the corporate world with some health challenges. Happy to discuss that. And what I found when I started to do my own soulful healing was this concept of money as energy. So yes, I had the practical money strategies, business savviness, but then there was this whole other side of bringing together the blending, the strategy, and the energy of money so that we're most powerful. And of course, let me just say, I love your idea of keeping it because I say to women, make it, keep it, and grow it. And when we're keeping it, we're avoiding the revolving door where money comes in, money goes out. That's an energy leak, and that's super stressful. And then when we decide to grow it, that's when we're stepping into money expansion, when things get really fun and interesting, and it doesn't feel so hard anymore because we're tapping into the magnificence of the universe and what is possible there.
I love this money expansion concept because, yes, sometimes many, especially entrepreneurs at the very beginning, are looking at, okay, as long as what's coming in is going out and I'm not leaking or in the red, they think that's okay. But what I realized is, and what I've learned over the course of 38 years in business is that's not okay. Mm-hmm. You need to be paying yourself. You need to be putting money aside. You need to be establishing your business resources so that when you want a small business loan or you are getting ready to scale or you go to that community bank, which I think everybody should build a community bank relationship, not a big global banking relationship, get to know who your local banks are and build that relationship before you need the money. But there's some smart play there. And I would love you to share with the audience some tips on when you're in your coaching mindset and in your community and in your group, because you have a couple ways people work with you. What is a tip you give them right off the bat that they need to know, or maybe a little tease into what you're going to be sharing with our eWomen Network community?
One of the best pieces of advice I got from an early mentor was create a program that you think no one will buy and price it at a price point you think no one will pay, i.e. go bigger.
Wow. Because
so often people are containing their businesses where they think people can afford to pay and play. And the reality is, right now in everyone's world, everyone's business, there is a client who wants that higher level of transformation and will pay for it, but can only receive it if you show up and offer it. And that is a game changer for businesses. An absolute game changer.
How many of you listening just took a big gulp of air? Because how many times have we heard the 47.77, the 1995s, the 990, the 97 cent XYZ, whatever that is. But I actually have a friend who shared with me, you know, Veronica, I had the $97 and then I had the $197 and then I had the $297, then I went to $497. It wasn't until I went to $1997 and I kept thinking I had to add value. I had to increase my offerings because I was increasing the number that I was putting on my coaching program, my product, whatever it is. But it wasn't until I hit 1997 that my calendar was booked. So it didn't book up at the 1997. It didn't book up at the 197. It didn't book at the 497. But she is looking for an assistant now at the and I think she's at almost $39.97 for a program she's launched that started. Now she's tweaked it and it's evolved, but still initially it began at that $97 price point. Talk about what do you think the psychological shift is in a consumer's brain that and I think what it goes to is what you said. There are people willing to pay the $19.97 who want to pay that, who find value in that, and those are your consumers. But speak to that. What's the psychological magic switch that happens in that space, do you think, or that you've seen?
Yeah. So first of all, for the coach who's got the $19.97 offer, I want to know who's the client for the $20,000 offer or the $100,000 client.
Bigger number.
And always be thinking about that.
Wow.
Because if you just always, and this is the advice, just to sort of finish that advice, when you create that program, show it right alongside your other offerings, because you start to calibrate your business and the people coming in to see the next level of possibility. So that's, I think, a really important thing to always be thinking, who's my $100,000 client? Even if I'm selling a $2,000 offer right now, who's the $100,000 client? And then second is consider that buyers are very discerning these days. for good reason, because there's a lot of people who've gotten caught in enticing marketing, but then got into a program that maybe the substance wasn't there. And I've had people come into my world who, for example, hired a expensive spiritual business coach, and what they came into the program and saw is that had a lot of focus on manifestation, energy, but not practical strategy. So as creators of courses, programs, we have to have such a commitment to results. The buyer pays for the result. So if you want that next level offer, you don't have to stuff it with so much stuff. You have to get clear. What is the result that I am creating? And how can I get that result so that it is higher quality, the person can get it faster, clear, they're empowered, they expand into who they are at the next level. That's what's going to allow you to create that next level program and have someone step into that.
So give us a conversation or a transformation you had with a recent client who, I mean, we're talking about a 1997. In my head, I'm thinking the 97 to 1997 is amazing for them in a 4-month span of time. But now you go to them and you say, okay, what's your 19,997? What's the $20,000 program look like? What's that client? Not just what the program looks like. What's the client look like who is going to come in and say, hell yes to that program for you? How do you coach your clients into seeing something they're not seeing for themselves? I mean, you've got that big eye, eagle's eye view over them. So 2 questions without giving your secret sauce away, but coaching the client into that space, working with that client, but also what advice have you given them to create what that $20,000, $200,000 client looks like?
Last week, I had somebody connect through my website, through a Google search. We had a clarity call for about an hour and a half, and she signed up the very next day for a $15,000 program. And so I want people to know it's not hard. And I want people to know you can have a conversation and sell a $97 product. You can have the same conversation and sell a $15,000 program.
It takes as much energy, time, and effort.
Exactly. I don't believe that I need to sell that. So it's the reason I can sell this. And I've optimized results. I think, again, back to that concept of optimizing results. So when I'll just use her because it's so current to me.
Yes, please do.
When we were looking through her offerings, etc., I looked at her price points and I said, you could double this. You're selling into the corporate world. What if you just doubled this? And how many clients would you need to get to pay for this investment in me? Because my big belief is don't just invest in something and wing and a hope and a prayer it. Invest expecting a return and being clear, what would it take for you to create that return and at least 2 to 3 times what you've paid. So I said, let's look at your business right now. How many corporate clients would you need? And when you look at the private coaching, what is the result that you're helping people get? What is the cost of them not doing the program with you? So I said, if you're selling into the corporate world and you're teaching confidence or anything like that, and this person can go get a promotion, what's that promotion worth to them? Is that $10,000 a year? Okay, so if you have a $10,000 program and they get $10,000 in year 1, but then they keep growing their career after that, you see how this just expands what's possible for them. Because that client shows up differently, they're more confident. Now they are catapulting their career because of the investment they made in you. And that's how we start to see, of course I can charge that amount. I am transforming people's lives. I'm not just helping with a simple result. This is a game changer for this person over the course of their life.
I love that. And you know, the thing that I find beautiful in what you just shared is the impact around future earnings.
That's the key. You're never just focusing on what are we going to transform in just the 4 months. Yes, that has to be there. But it's about the future earnings of potential, particularly for women. Men have adopted the role of wealth builders for centuries. Here we are, gaining traction in places of leadership, but not everybody, not all women have awakened to their power of being a wealth builder. Your business, my business, every business out there has the potential to build wealth. And we have to see our business as a vehicle for that. Otherwise, we're limiting it. We're actually blocking money. And then we just have the revolving door where it's income in, expense out. And we're not capturing what our business is fully intended to do. And I believe that can be true for any business.
That's powerful, because that also could turn into a nonprofit conversation. It can turn into whether you have a product or a service. I have a client that I worked in a past business life, and we were talking about creating an experience for when the consumer received the product from them. And the decision maker had the idea that the expense of doing that add-on to the consumer, it was a little note in the box or in the packaging that showed up. And it was at first handwritten, but of course you're sending out hundreds of thousands of products, you're not handwriting them. So it became something a little bit easier to do, but it was just this thank you. And then on social media, it became share it out, call it out, thank the consumer. People love to hear their name, especially these days on social media. And they were stuck on the cost of rolling out that program. And this was 10 years ago, and it would be interesting for me. I'm no longer part of that company working with them, but it would be amazing to go back and look at what the payoff has been now 10 years later, because I'm still getting notes in my box when I make that purchase or in that envelope that comes when I order those products. And I think there's really something to be said around having the foresight, and it goes to hiring the right coach. I mean, you can change coaches, you can be leveling up a business coach, a consultant, whatever we want to call ourselves these days. We are giving advice. We exist to help and give advice at a high-level conversation that the person who is hiring us has not had ever before. And that is our unique, Paula and my unique selling proposition, is we do it in a way that others don't, and we add intangibles in the conversations that just intuitively show up for us in these magical downloads of inspiration, this all-knowing knowledge, which is powerful. So I think we always should be having somebody who's mentoring us, help us see our blind spots, and you do that from a financial perspective. And I love that you're talking this level of wealth building, not just wealth accumulation. Mm-hmm. So share with the audience another transformation or a recent, what has been the cherry on top for you in your business over the 20 years? And I said cherry, you're wearing this beautiful red dress. I'm like, you are the cherry on top. But share with the audience what's been the cherry on top for you? Looking back over 20 years, what is the aha moment you had for yourself that has put you in the seat across from me today?
It's so fascinating because it's been about the money, and yet it's been about the empowerment and connection to the universe. I think that's been the cherry on top, is through the work that I've done, through the programs I've created, I am constantly having women come back in touch with themselves in connection to a universal flow. It's the reason I had to leave the corporate world, because my body was not designed for that environment. And when I left the corporate world, and I'm only starting to talk about this, part of the reason I left the corporate world is at age 24, I was diagnosed with premature menopause. Wow. And you can imagine that 24, there is not information out there like there is today for women going through menopause.
Wow.
And so I had to find the sources of inspiration and hope and navigate a business, not headstrong, but heart-centered and body-led. Because I would go to specialists and they would have nothing to offer me other than hormone replacement therapy, and you're a difficult client or patient is what they would say. So for the last 2 decades, I have been learning to be in sync with my body and teaching women not to get ahead of themselves, but to work in flow. You know, there's this phrase, ease and flow out there. Yeah. Lovely phrase, but it's not a catch line for me. It is the truth of who I am so that I can sustain the success that I have. And my goal is to help other women, because we all have challenges that we're facing, whether it's our health, whether we're navigating a relationship challenge, whether we're parenting, we've got multiple roles, to find the flow that works for you, the rhythm that works for you, the business model that works for you. And sometimes it's a lot simpler of a business model than, what may be prescribed out there. I've never been a volume-based business. I'm a boutique business.
Me too. And don't you love that? And, I got so tied up in following many entrepreneurs, many of them male-led, because I didn't have a lot of role models to choose from at the time. And it was, your model only works this way. And you got to get up early, and you've got to do this, and you've got to get to bed, and you have to eat. And I kept trying to be the square peg in a round hole. And when I realized through Atomic Habits with James Clear, and lots of personal development reading and meditation and becoming a Reiki master, that it was okay to be in Veronica's flow. It was okay to be in where I was the most creative, to work in that space where I felt the most impacted by the creativity that came. My highest production level is in the evening when the house is quiet, not in the morning, where most people say you got to get up and get going, and the early bird gets the worm, right? And I was more about, I can get up in that space, but I'm not working yet. I'll have my coffee. I'll be in gratitude. I'll write in my journal. I'll go for a walk. I'll have a conversation with my husband. I'll FaceTime my grandbaby. Like, I'm texting my kids. I'm touching base with friends. I'm going on a breakfast coffee. Like, it's not always about following somebody else's success line. Now, you can start there. And then as you're developing, you find out what works for you. And I'm just giving everybody a permission slip today to find out what works for them, and then find the ease and flow like Paula shared. Paula, I love that you started to share your story, because menopause at 24, that must have been heart-wrenching for you. But yet it led you here now, 2 decades later. So you found a way to conquer and come through that and triumph over the trial.
And I feel like I can talk about it now because there's the information and it's a much broader conversation. But it wasn't that back then. And I feel so often women are dealing with things in silence because it's not something they feel they can talk about. And now I'm at this stage where I say, because there was people back then who would say to me, you have no idea what a hot flash is. And I'd think to myself, you have no idea that I know what a hot flash is at age 24.
Wow.
So I just want to encourage everybody that no matter what you are going through, there is a path to still create success in business, because I think that's what I discovered. I had to realize I have to do business differently. I rock the afternoon naps. I used to
love the afternoon nap. Yes, for the hashtag afternoon nap. Yes.
And I used to think that was a problem. And now it's like I say, my soul is just plugging back in. It's connecting to the energy of the universe.
I love it.
And it's amazing how I'm lying in bed, I'm having my nap, and then I wake up to a client idea. Oh, that's what we're going to do. That's the marketing message we're going to have, right? So it's amazing how we can learn to run our days, whether we're a morning person, an evening person.
A nap person.
And be okay with that. Do you know one of the things that's so fascinating? I go for a morning walk and it really calibrates my energy. And I was literally climbing halfway up this hill and I heard the message. And every time I hear messages like right over this shoulder, and I heard this message, you're not meant to fit in.
Wow.
And that's not from a pity party place.
No, I didn't go there. That's powerful. That's powerful.
And then this little bird in the tree just started chirping away like crazy. And I thought, I got the message. I got it. Giving yourself such permission to lead, to be brilliant, to be unapologetic, to be bold, and to recognize there may be circles you don't fit in. There may be invitations you don't get. You've got a pile of books sitting there, and you know the book that's helped me with that is The Let Them Theory.
Oh, gotta love Mel Robbins.
But I think the most powerful part of that particular book wasn't so much about the let them. It's let me.
Wow.
It's the empowerment, because them is still about them. What is the let me? Let me live. Let me thrive. Let me open to receive abundance. Let me build wealth. Let me charge the $20,000 because
Amen.
I know I can create this result for people.
Or receive the $1 million check. Why not?
Right.
Right? Thinking
And
bigger.
knowing that this is something I say all the time, because I don't believe money is bad or non-spiritual or evil. Money's going to magnify who you are.
Right?
So your goodness gets to be magnified when you receive more money, when it flows through you and you direct it. Money needs a path.
Right.
We always need to be directing it to that which we value most.
And with that, I want to thank Ms. Paula for coming on today. How do people work with you, find out about you, learn more? Do you have something you'd like to offer the community that's listening and watching?
Yes, so you can find out about me at paulaonysko.com. All of my handles, Facebook, Instagram, are with my name. And I want to share a free resource, which is a tapping to open to receive more money. I love using EFT tapping, so people can get it at paulaonysko.com/tapping.
And we will also put that in the show notes because I want you to spell your last name for everybody who's just listening really quick.
Yes, so Paula, Paula, last name Onysko, Onysko.
Well, thank you, Paula. And all of our guests receive a Hello Sunshine box from me. So thank you for coming all the way from Calgary, Canada, to share your story, your impact, your brilliance, your tips on wealth building and legacy building. And I'm just overjoyed that you took the time on a very scheduled trip to come in today and share with our listeners and viewers your magic in the money. Powerful, powerful conversation for all those women entrepreneurs out there listening today. And if you've loved what you've heard, please subscribe, join the community, share it with others who need to hear this impactful story, and stay tuned next week because we are talking about confidence building with young girls from the nonprofit House, Haus, of Cheer with Stephanie Brown. Bye for now. Until next week. Thanks for tuning in to Be Visible with Veronica. If today's episode sparked something in you, share it, tag me, and pass it on. Your presence has power, and the world is better when you let it be seen. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and keep showing up as the unstoppable force you were born to be. I'll see you next time.